Hello dear students. Let's discuss about the next aspect of the living world. In previous class we have discussed various aspects regarding how amazing the living world is and why we call the living world as wonderful and what make us to feel the living world as the amazing and wonderful, right? And while discussing various aspects of the habitats of the living organisms and also the type of organisms present, their actions and the natural phenomena and also the ecological conflict and cooperation between the organisms or individuals of a population or between the population of the community, that raised a question, what indeed the life is. So there again it arises two questions in our mind. What is life when opposed to or what is living when opposed to non-living? And second one is, what is the purpose of life? Now we need to discuss regarding the answer for the question, that is, what is life? What is living? See, in order to answer or define what is living, right? Or whenever we try to define what is living, okay, consequently we look for the distinct characteristic features which are present in the living organisms. So when we try to define living, what is living means, okay, consequently we look for a distinct basic features present in living organisms. Distinct basic features or characters, basic features or characteristics present in living organism. Then is it possible to list the basic features which are present in the living organisms? No need to think of other animals, okay? You are itself a living organism, right? What are the features which are present in you, right? We do grow, we do reproduce, and organisms do reproduce, whether it is the plant or the animal, right? So can we take that features as the basic distinct features of the living organisms? Okay, such as, so those basic features, if we get that list, okay, so such as growth, that list will be as follow. Growth, next is reproduction. Then, so whatever the change occurs in your surrounding, you will get that information through the sensory organs. Like that, all other organisms are also aware of their surroundings. So that is ability to sense changes in surroundings. That also becomes the another basic feature of the living organisms. When they have the ability to sense the changes in their surrounding, then they must have the ability to give or mount a suitable response for that change. So next is to mount suitable response for changes in surrounding. If you take an example here, Suddenly, if the snake appears in front of you, what do you say? Hi, snake. Would you like to have coffee or tea? No, right? What do you do? Either you will run away from there, otherwise, okay, you will make that snake to go away from that place. Appearance of snake is a change, that is only called as a stimuli. For that, what response you will give or how you will react, that is your response. So, for the change in the surrounding, you will mount or give a suitable response only. So, these also becomes the basic features of the living organisms. And if you want to add the other features for living organisms means, so what the other features include? Okay, the other features must be, or that includes the features such as metabolism, what we discussed in the previous class, that is in bridge course, right? Metabolism will be the one feature of living organism. Other than that metabolism, next is self-replication, self-organization, and emergence. What do you mean by emergence? Emergence is nothing but appearance, or how that organism look like, or existence of that organism, that is called as emergence. Okay, so let's discuss about these characteristic features one by one in detail now. The first one is the, what is that one? Growth. Let's discuss about the first characteristic feature of the living organism, that is growth. So, how can you define the growth? See, you are not of the same size and same weight as you are in your childhood. Your weight has got increased and your size has got increased, right? Means the growth has taken place in your body. Means you have grown up. What is growth then? Can you define it now? So growth means, see, I have mentioned two characters there. Weight has got increased, size has got increased, right? So growth is nothing but, so it can be defined as increase in mass and increase in number of individuals or cells. This is what the definition of the growth. How can you define growth? Means the growth is nothing but increase in the number of cells of the individuals or increase in the mass, or both together. It is called as growth. So if there is an increase in the mass of an organism, means growth has occurred in its body. And if there is an increase in the number of cells in body, there is a growth, means growth has occurred in that body. In case of unicellular organisms, if the one cell becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, means number of cells or the individuals increases. That is also called as growth. Have you got the definition of growth now? Okay. So now, this growth or the pattern of growth is different in different kind of organisms. See, the pattern of growth. So now, let's discuss about the growth in unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. First, the growth in multicellular organisms. And here multicellular organisms are two types, or they belong to two types. What are those means? That is animals and plants. Animals are also multicellular organisms, and the plants are also multicellular organisms. So here, what is the pattern of growth in animals and what is the pattern of growth in plants? ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್, both in animals as well as the plants, increase in the mass or the increase in the number of cell is because of or it is due to cell division process. See here, this growth, you know that one, this growth occurs or growth takes place due to cell division, or cell division results in growth. So in animals what happens, the growth stops after certain age. What happens in case of animals? After certain age, there is no more growth takes place in the body organs or the body. That is called as the growth stops after certain age. There may be increase in the mass, but here what it clearly indicates means cell division which results in the growth stops, means growth centers are going to stop their work. But in plants what happens here, growth continues throughout its lifetime or lifespan. How long that plant will be present as alive, till that there will be a growth in that plant. So plant ಸಾಯೋವರೆಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಗ್ರೋ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವಯಸ್ಸಾದಂತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕೆಲವು ಸಮಯ ಆದಂತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಏಜ್ ಆದಂತೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆ? ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್? ಸೊ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ so what happens in case of animals means here, because cell division stops in animals after certain age. Certain age ಮೇಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ there is no more growth takes place or no more normal growth takes place in the animals. But in case of plants what happens here, so in plants cell division is continuous throughout their lifespan. ಎಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದರ ಬಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಏಜ್, ಸೊ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ reduces or stops. But here you may ask a question, that one, whenever we met injury or whenever the cut occurs in the body, how that damaged part of the body get repaired, or how that lost cells or damaged cells will get replaced with a new one. For example, if your skin is damaged, what happens? Within few days the new layer of the skin will be covering that wound. Means new layer of skin is formed, means the new cells are formed there, and new cells are formed as a result of the cell division. But we said that one, after certain age no cell division takes place. Then how come the repair and replacement takes place, right? Even though cell division stops, but cell division occurs or the continuous only for repair and replacement of the lost or the damaged parts of the body or cells of the body. Okay, for that reason cell division takes place. But cell division occurs occurs only to repair and replace damaged or lost cells. So this is what the reason of cell division even after the stoppage of the growth centers in animals. Is it clear? So this difference is very important for the PU examination as well as the NEET and CET examination. What is the difference in growth patterns in the plants and animals? Means you need to write this one. What is that? Growth is continuous in plants, but it stops after certain age in the animals. Reason? Cell division is continuous in plants, but it stops after certain age in the animals. Is it clear, guys? Okay, this is regarding the difference in growth pattern between plants and animals. Now, note down these points. The other aspects of the growth we will discuss later. So the next discussion is regarding the growth in unicellular organisms. Next, growth in unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms. So in unicellular organism, cell division itself leads to growth. So in them, cell division itself leads to growth, and cell division itself is a leads to growth, and cell division is a mode of reproduction also. Is a mode of reproduction. What is the meaning of that one here? In unicellular organisms, say for example the single cell is present here. When it divides and produces two daughter cells, okay, this division is nothing but cell division. Due to cell division, the two new daughter cells are produced. That is called as reproduction. And here the single cell now increase to two cells, and they divide to form 4 cells, next 8 cells, like that. Number of individuals increases, and that is also the criteria for defining the growth. Then it leads to growth in that unicellular organisms. Means in their culture or their population increases. So in unicellular organisms, one can observe growth just by counting increase in the number of cells. Increase in number of cells in an culture. How this one takes place means, say for example, this is what an test tube, okay, and this is the cotton plug, okay, covering the opening of the test tube. So in which in a nutrient liquid or the medium, you have inoculated few number of unicellular organisms. ಅಂದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಯೂನಿಸೆಲ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆರ್ಗನಿಸಮನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀರ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. Say for example, you have added only a 10 number of unicellular organisms into it, just for the example. After few hours, If you take that sample into an or over a slide and prepare the smear over that slide. ಆ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪ್, so here observe the growth just by counting increase in the number of cells in a culture under microscope. So if you observe it under microscope, that will be the confirmation, or that will be the method of confirming the growth in culture, that is the unicellular organisms culture. So here the medium in which unicellular organisms are being grown, that is called as their culture. Just by counting the number of cells under the microscope will give you an idea what is happening to that culture, whether the number has got increased or decreased. If decreased, okay, there is no growth has occurred in that one. If increased, the growth has occurred in that culture of unicellular organisms. So this is how one can observe the growth in unicellular organisms. So here in unicellular organisms, cell division and growth are synonymous. Means cell division itself is a growth, and cell division and reproduction are mutually inclusive. Means cell division leads to reproduction, or cell division itself is a reproduction. These points are very important for the NEET and CET examination. Among unicellular organisms, reproduction and cell division are mutually inclusive. Cell division and growth is synonyms, means giving the same meaning. Cell division means growth. Is it clear? So among unicellular organisms, okay, cell division and growth are synonymous. What do you mean by synonymous? Means giving same meaning. And cell division and reproduction, cell division as well as reproduction are mutually inclusive. Means they are not the separate process here. Cell division itself representing two phenomena here. Cell division itself is a one phenomena, okay, that produces daughter cells, so it is a reproduction also. So they are mutually inclusive, not the separate processes. Okay, next. If the increase in the size of an organism to be considered as a criteria for defining the growth, then I have an objection here. What is that one? Okay, say for example, if increase in mass or size is an criteria for defining growth, then the boulders, mountains, sand molds, etc., they also grow by accumulation of particles or materials on their surface. What is the meaning of this one? Boulders, mountains, sand molds, they will also grow or increase in their size because of the addition or the accumulation or deposition of particles or the matters over their surface. The boulder, see now in this diagram we can see this is what the picture of the boulder, and then it is a mountain, and here it is the sand mold. Their size increases because of because of the deposition of the particles or materials over their surface only. By this, what you will get to know? How the growth takes place in case of non-living things. See, these are non-living only. Boulder is non-living, mountain is non-living, sand mold is non-living. Then how the growth takes place in these non-living things? Note on these points. We will discuss how the growth takes place in living and non-living. See, growth in non-living things. Growth in non-living things. How it occurs? So this one occurs by, or it occurs by deposition of particles, or deposition of particles or materials, material or particle externally. So growth in living, non-living things is external. What type of growth can be seen in the non-living things? External. So this is what the chalk piece. If you apply more particles of its content over the surface, what happens? Its size increases. Or if you apply some gum over it and stick the other materials to it, means its size increases. Means you have to increase its size by applying the materials over its surface only. So growth is external in the non-living thing. How the growth takes place in your body? By applying food particles over the skin or over the body, or while by consuming the nutrients into our digestive system. By consuming the food, right, those nutrients will be absorbed into our body, and that will be utilized for the generation of new cells or the production of more proteins, right? So growth occurs inside in living organisms. But in living organisms, growth is from inside. Growth is from inside. Remember the difference between the growth in non-living things and the living organisms. Then, so as the growth can be seen among the non-living things also, then growth cannot be the inclusive property of the living organisms. As growth can also occur in non-living things. It cannot be the inclusive property of living organisms. But if the condition is explained, or considered that, so what is that condition is? No dead organism no dead organism show growth, or growth will not occur in any dead organism. Means growth occurs in the organism when it is alive. When that organism is living, then only growth occurs in its body. If it becomes dead, no growth takes place in its body. Then the growth will be considered as a defining property of a living organism. So the growth becomes defining property of living organisms. So this is how the growth is considered as one of the property or the characteristic feature of living organisms. So this is for today's class. Next class we will discuss regarding the another characteristic feature of the living organism. So take down these notes. Okay, hope you have enjoyed the class. Thank you guys.